What if I told you that you could build an AI voice agent that makes real phone calls, talks like a human, and could make you $5,000 a month without writing much code? Today, I will show you exactly how to build one using 4 simple tools: n8n, ElevenLabs, Twilio, and ChatGPT. Let's start. Okay, now let's look at how this AI voice agent actually works in practice. I'll walk you through the diagram step by step so you can clearly see how everything fits together. The main part of the system is voice agent. It takes the people to call from some database where we have contacts to call. You can think of this as Google Sheets with contact details. This list contains the people or businesses the AI will call, along with their details and what each call is meant to accomplish, like reserving a table or confirming an order. Each row acts as a task for the agent, including contact info, intent, and success conditions. The voice agent reads the next contact from this list, pulling in the phone number, intent, and any other context it needs for the call. Inside the voice agent, there are two main components: the AI voice engine from ElevenLabs, which generates realistic human-like speech, and Twilio, the phone carrier, handles the outbound call and manages the audio connection. Everything runs automatically, orchestrated by n8n, which connects all these tools together. When the call ends, the voice agent again updates in the database the row with the transcript of the conversation, summary, and call status, keeping everything in sync automatically. And the best part of it that you can configure by yourself the system prompt of this AI agent to behave as you want this to behave. So now I want to show you the more detailed diagram how everything works. So basically here I designed this diagram to give you better understanding how everything is set up. In next steps, I will show you how everything is set up in n8n, ElevenLabs, and Twilio, but before I wanted you to have this generic overview how this voice agent actually works. So here we can see that the system starts with some trigger, that it can be anything. It can be the request to our endpoint, it can be row update in the Google Sheets or Airtable, or it can be just a button when you click trigger in n8n. What's happening next? So we are finding the people that we want to call from our table. So basically, okay, so we will gonna call this first number, and we have in the database all this information. Okay, sounds good. Then we are sending the request to ElevenLabs with the phone that it needs to call. So, and the important thing here, for now, at this step, ElevenLabs doesn't know anything about the people that we wanna to call, all the information, what we need, and so on. That's why in ElevenLabs there is a functionality which allows you to, for ElevenLabs to retrieve some data from external sources or from external API. And in this step, ElevenLabs will make requests to our endpoint, like in n8n, to find the information about the user. So basically, it will send this request to our endpoint, where we'll filter by phone number the person and give the ElevenLabs all this information back. So this is the pre-call context fetch. Very important part, yeah. And here we can see that this part is responsible for the outbound call. Twilio handles voice connection, basically calling, and it streams the voice, and ElevenLabs streams the voice to Twilio. So, and when the call is, when you making a call, so not Twilio speaking with your customer, but ElevenLabs, and because it generates the AI voice. Next, what is happening? So, okay, we have some conversation there, and so AI voice agent speaks with some clients, so on, and the conversation finished, but we don't know anything, what's happening there. And in ElevenLabs, there is another hook that you can configure, post-call hook, so which enables you to specify some specific, your endpoint, for example, for your system, which would be receiving the information about the call, including the transcript of the conversation and Basically, the most important part, the transcript of the conversation. And in this step, we are having the logics for this post call summary and database update. Basically, we will get the transcript of the conversation. We will send this transcript, for example, to OpenAI to ask, what do you think? If this was this successful or not? And according for some actions, we can configure everything that we want. For example, according the some what happened during the call, we can make some steps. And after this, we update the record in our Google Sheets, like in this example, with the status, like it was successful or not. And of course, we update also the row with the transcript. So basically, this is the flow in a nutshell. And now, in next steps, I will show you how this is implemented in NA10, ElevenLabs, and Twilio. So you can configure this really easy. So now that we understand how AI voice agent works, we need to set up all external tools that we will be using. So let's start with the Twilio. We need to create a Twilio account. Twilio manages inbound and outbound calls. So you need to create an account and then we need to buy a phone number. On free trial, you already have some dollars and you can buy free some phone number, but you need to remember that this would be it would be trialed account, and using this phone number that you can buy from the trial, you can call only you. So, and a reminder for you, when you register, you need to use your phone number that you like to test this AI voice agent, because you can't make call to any other number if you have trial account. So to create phone number, we need to go to phone numbers and we need to click buy a number. And here we can select a country that you want to have this number be, and we just click buy and that's it. And reminder, if you buy, for example, US based phone number, you need to configure, and you are not living in US, you need to configure voice general geographic permissions. So you'll be able to call you if you're not US. So we need to go to this tab and you need to add your country that you have your phone. So, and basically that's it. Once we have configured the phone number in Twilio, we can go to ElevenLabs and create the agent and integrate this agent with our Twilio account. Now let's set up ElevenLabs. So we need to create an account in ElevenLabs, and once you create an account, you need to go to the Agents tab here, and you need to create a new agent. So it's pretty straightforward. You just need to you can use already like template, agent, all start from the scratch. So basically you need to fill all the information and then click create the agent. So I will go to my agent that I created, and you will see the most important information is quite simple and straightforward. Here you can see the first message that you want the agent to start talking. So, hi, contact info from my database. I'm calling behalf of Anton Kuzmich, for example, and I'm his assistant. This is the first message. Another important part is system prompt. Here you define the instructions how this AI voice agent needs to behave. Basically, you define everything there. And as you already noticed, I have contact info as variable here. And you will ask when this information would be, from what source this information is retrieved. And here is, as I told on the diagram before, we have pre-call fetch of some context and post-call fetch of the context. And here I see these, you can see the dynamic variables that you can define. And if you want to configure the pre-call hook, you can go to the settings here, and you will see that here you can define the endpoint which would be triggered to retrieve the information about the contact, and the information to endpoint to push the data about the conversation as transcript or anything else. So let's go back. And yeah, so basically that's it. You need to configure the fetch initiation client data from webhook, make it enable it, and you need to provide the URL for retrieving this context. So, and basically when you provide this URL, when the agent will start its work, before the call, it would make request to the your endpoint and retrieve the information. So, and that's why the agent already knows the contact info, and here in the system prompt I already defined intent. So basically, when the call is starting, before it, agent makes request to our endpoint, which returns the intent and contact info for the phone number that we are calling. So this is the most important part. And of course, here you can define all other settings for ElevenLabs for AI agent. How should it behave? You can provide, for example, the knowledge base for it, so you can know, for example, your product, something like this. And also here you can define the tools. It's really cool things here you can configure, because you can configure that it would automatically, for example, detect the language. And if it detects that the client is speaking other language, it would switch languages. And also here you could define that from the scratch that the agent needs to speak several languages, and it would actually work really cool. And also here you can define some of your custom tools. For example, if you wanna give the opportunity, for example, for your agent to take some data from external sources by some specific number that the client knows, like order ID. And you can configure this that the client would ask, tell me my order status, agent would ask order ID, and when the client provided his order ID, agent would make request to our API, which has the information, and return back to the client. So this is really awesome. And important part for our voice agent that we need to configure it to work with Twilio. So for that, you need to go to the integration step and add new integration. Sorry, I guess not this way. You need to go to phone numbers and import number from Twilio. And when you do this, so basically you did everything that you need to set up your AI voice agent. And even now, you already can test it, but you will not make a real phone calls. It's just when you click test AI agent, you just can speak with the agent. But yet we didn't configure the calling part. And this whole orchestration of this voice agent would be done in NA10, because we'll make request to ElevenLabs to initiate outbound call, and ElevenLabs itself would encapsulate all these AI logics, and that's good part. And in NA10, we just will create endpoint for providing context, like prefetch call, and the post-call summary and transcript. So basically that's it in ElevenLabs, and let's go to NA10. Now let's see how this is implemented in NA10. You can see now that we have three flows. First one, flow is responsible for sending the request to ElevenLabs. So basically the call begins when you click to execute this workflow. And the second two flows, you can think of them as endpoints to which provide some information. First one, this is the endpoint which provides the information about the contact that we are trying to call. And the second workflow is executed when the call is finished. And here we get the transcript of the conversation, and we ask OpenAI, so what do you think? This call was successful or not? And we update the record in the database. So basically, let's now dive into each of these workflows. So here we can see that first workflow, we have first node is manual trigger. So basically, for now, it's configured this way that when you click execute the workflow, and only now the AI voice agent will call the people from our database. But you can configure these different ways. For example, it can be the endpoint, and you will have some, for example, website where you will have this logic. So when the user provides information, he can execute, make the coding, basically. Yeah. So let's take a look. How does it look like? So first node, as I said, yeah, manual trigger. The second node, get list people to call. This, in my case here, I retrieve this information from the array table, and now I'll show you my structure in array table. So in array table, I store these fields, but basically you can configure these different ways as you want. So basically we need phone number, contact information, so what person we are calling, intent, and success addition. So the AI voice agent would understand if the call was successful or not, and that's yeah. So you can extend this data model, you can add some other fields, but basically that's it that I wanted to show you. And we have also two other fields which would be filled when the conversation is finished, is transcript and status. So basically we have the node which is retrieving the people from Airtable, and second node basically sending the request to ElevenLabs, as we can see. So we provide here the URL, so the outbound call would be made. So yeah, and you need to provide these fields to make an actual call. So basically you need to provide agent ID of the ElevenLabs agent, agent phone number, and the number you will try to call. So basically it, and of course we need to add the authorization for ElevenLabs, basically just API key. So when you click this flow is executed, so the request is made to ElevenLabs and the actual call is created. And at the same time, you will see that this endpoint is triggered to retrieve some information about the user. Basically, this is simple webhook in N10, so you can see of this as I prepare the endpoint, so other external parties can execute and get information. So basically here I search in the Airtable the person whose phone number is this one that we got in the request, and I respond to the user back the information about this information which is needed for ElevenLabs. And really important part here that you need to provide the response body for this URL just in this format, because on ElevenLabs expects you to prepare these contacts for this person in this format. So really important. So okay, now the AI agent knows the information about the person and is speaking with this person. He knows the intent, what to speak, and so on. And after the call is finished, we have another flow which is executed when the call is finished. So basically, the ElevenLabs would send this request to our service, and here you can see that there are some messages that were speaking during this conversation and so on. And next node that I need to create in N10 is just code in JavaScript. Basically, this is the code to parse the request of ElevenLabs to get the transcript. And in the end, I got this, so agent and agent line and my response, user response, and yeah. So in this step, we already have the transcript of the conversation. And here I have two separate flows. First one to ask OpenAI. So you receive the transcript of the phone call, your role to decide if it was successful or not. You need to provide success or failed status. And the second one is just to get the record ID in the database of the user. So we will update the record in the Airtable by record ID. When it's done, we'll merge it, use merge node. For in N10, this node is used when you wanna wait for, if you have two flows which you wanna, two nodes which you wanna be executed simultaneously, you need to have merge nodes. So for example, if this node would be executed earlier, this node is made for basically to wait until other flow would be finished as well. And basically on update record flow, we're just updating the database with this information that we got here. So record ID, we need to have to update the row in Airtable, and the status, success or failed. And basically I'm doing this. So I set in the transcript, status, and by record ID. So in general, this is the flow. And now I will show you in practice how does it look like. So let's now test our voice agent. So I'm inside N10 and we will click on manual trigger to execute the whole our workflow. So when I click on the execute workflow, the request would be sent to ElevenLabs and outbound call would be made to the person who is contact in our Airtable. Then, before our call, the request will be made to our system to get the dynamic variables. Basically, this is contact information of the person that we called. And in the end of the conversation, would be made request to the another endpoint, which will pass basically the transcript and the status about the conversation. So let's execute the first workflow. So now I receive the call and I will answer it.
I'm calling on behalf of Anton Kuzmich. I'm his assistant.
Yeah, hello.
I'm calling to change an order from delivery to pickup. He'll be there in about 30 minutes and we'll pay with cash.
Sounds good. We'll wait for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So our conversation ended. And now we can go to the execution step and to see what is happening under the scenes. So we can see that we have some workflows that were executed. And basically we can go into details of each flow. First, we can see if successful was the request to ElevenLabs. Basically, if we receive the call, we can think, yeah, it was successful. Then we can go to the next flow, which passed the dynamic variables of the contact person. Basically, we can see what information was passed to the person. Basically, we can see that in response body, I guess this is kind of misleading because the main thing that was passed to the user was that information. And I guess, yeah, we can see it anywhere, but basically we send back to the ElevenLabs only contact information and intent. And we can see third workflow, how was it executed, what was the response of ChatGPT, and that we updated record. And now we can go to Airtable to see if the records were actually updated as well. So we can see that in Airtable we have now transcript and the status. We can see the transcript, yeah, it's transcript of our conversation, and we see the status here. So basically, that's it about building voice agents. We built pretty simple voice agent, but you can customize it as you wish. You can customize it by improving the system prompt of ElevenLabs. You can customize it by adding some external tools for voice agent. For example, so there would be opportunity to ask your agent something and he will make the request to some of your endpoint and tell you exactly what to do. Or even there could be the opportunity to ask him to do something for you. For example, to change the delivery address, and under the scene, he will send request to your API. So basically, there are a lot of stuff to do, and you can do a lot of stuff there. But my main idea for you, get this understanding that what you can do with ElevenLabs and N10. So remember that there are two triggers to get the information in the beginning and the end to pass the transcript. But overall, you can customize it as you want. So now you've seen the fundamentals of how to build your own AI voice agent using ElevenLabs, Twilio, and N10. I showed you the basics, how to build stuff and how to work with different tools together. But you need to remember, you can customize it as you want and you can make it really complex and to fill any customer needs. So thank you for watching the video and see you.